Hey, welcome to From the Baseline with Premier Basketball. I'm Mark Williams. I'm joined by Shane Laflin and Jason Key, the hatless Jason Key tonight.
No, no glasses, no hat.
No
what are we
glasses,
doing?
no nothing. People are going to be like, who's the special guest tonight? Man, we're excited for you tuning in. We got a great show for you. We're recapping the Prime event. We've got many guests. Mo and Sasha with FBC is going to be with us. Coop with CyFair, Nike Coop. Ray Caldwell is going to be with us with San Antonio Finest. And so really just a great show, and we appreciate everybody coming on, and we appreciate you tuning in. And so, hey, this weekend was the Prime event, the end of what we call Prime Week for us, and the second annual Prime event. Yes, as Shane's like, I need a vacation. The second annual the Prime event for us, and this year was bigger and better than last year. Last year was a resounding success, and this year seems like it was blown out of the water. And I mean, it just wasn't even close. And so overall, I mean, this event, how would you describe it, Shane? Speechless. That's how he would describe it, right there.
And that's hard to do with Shane.
I don't want to speak in hyperbole, right? Mm-hmm. But like, it exceeded expectations, and couple factors. Really, and then of course, you know, we always mention the weird year, the curveball year, so it changes things a little bit. Couple factors though. The anticipation of this thing after last year was already really good.
Right.
And then to be able to do Prime Event East with Shockett and the select events guys the week before increases the anticipation coming into this one. And I guess another factor was we had some teams travel from out of region, and they didn't have to do that. And they were able to do that because we were able to describe to them the fantastic job that the foundation, the structure of our staff does. And I'm not talking about anybody on this page right now. I'm talking about Kathy and Shell and Don and Rock and Don Atchison, who does our refs, and Angel and Treasure. I mean, I don't want to leave anybody out. Pope. Everybody who from again, Kathy's the operations director, and then she staffs everybody. And we've got the site coordinator and Don and Shell. And then we've got individual people at each court doing what they've got to do, ushering people out, working them out. Shell on the live stream was the one with the bullhorn this week. It was great energy. And so we had, obviously, some of the group was used to the protocols. Some of them were new to it. The other factor being this particular event, people didn't want to leave the gym. And, you know, it's really hard in the Mansfield Fieldhouse to get to capacity. So on a normal year, I feel like if we'd have let people stay, we might have had to talk about numbers anyway, because people didn't want to leave the gym. And that means they were watching good basketball. They were intrigued by the players. They were intrigued by the teams. They were intrigued by the matchups. And that's what we want to create. We want to get back, love the game, not chase the stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
chase the fame.
Love the game. I was almost poetic. I'm too tired for that stuff. You know, like, go compete and love the game and appreciate what's around us. And then again, a reminder this year, right, that like, it's not a given that we're going to have these opportunities. So again, the foundation of what we do execution wise has nothing to do with the glitz and the glamour and the tweets and the social media and all the scholarship offers we're seeing and all that stuff. They felt confident that they could come because we were able to tell them, this is how we've executed it. And they call people and they're like, yo, the event was run flawlessly. Like, all things considered, it can't get safer to play. Mm-hmm. And I've seen some other events on live stream. I've talked to other coaches. I've been to some other events. And I tried, you know, Kathy this week, as she's wanted to execute it perfectly, I'm saying, hey, Kathy, you are flawlessly executing this thing. And just kind of letting her know. So it started there. And then we talk about the coaches that brought their programs and the demand to be in it. We were limited this year in space. We're always going to be limited in the Prime event because we got to get out of town teams able to fly home on Sunday. Again, a normal year, you'd be going to school on Monday, right? So, or in-person school, I guess I should say. So the demand was high to be in it. And we had, 6 competitive brackets. And a lot of people call events loaded because I got definitely some title teams and title players. And this thing was loaded. And again, not being speaking in hyperbole, making the player list, we're still not done. That thing is long and distinguished. There was, and I haven't counted yet, there's so many good players in this thing, so many high-level players, so many next-level players, so many Division I kids, so many every level kid. And then, of course, it started out competitive and the environment was great. So, yeah, I mean, hats off to our team, our guys, our team that we had this vision and we executed it. And, we've already done some things preparing for next year that are going to make it better, which that's just kind of how we do. We come off, we analyze it, and we go for more. So thanks to everybody. And, man, I'm going to brag on our group. Like, I'm really proud of us. We did a good job, and this is a cool thing. And by the time I got home, driving home, I stopped, had dinner with Joey and Jason. Mark, you had to jet. And I stopped at my friend's house, slept about 20 minutes, got my junk together, visited with his family. By the time I got home, I had 5 texts from different regions talking about, can we do a prime event such and such? And I'm like, it's kind of what we're thinking about doing in different regions and having this thing. So we'll work that out in due time. But just on to other projects right now. We got some cool stuff coming. So, I got you guys here, captive audience. Thank you guys. I mean, killed it. I asked, on the preview, I'm going to ask you guys to hustle this one a little bit so I can watch some, because I'm going to be pulled in 10 different directions, which is perfectly fine. But I definitely want to watch. And about the middle of the day on Saturday I got to just watch people love to play basketball, and that's rewarding for me. So thank you.
Absolutely. Jason?
Man, echoing his sentiments, I think you could feel the kids really want to compete at that elite level. For each, there wasn't a shoe championship around in July this year, so there was no Nike Nationals or Adidas or Under Armour, so on and so forth. And you could feel it had that Super Bowl feel to it, right? Of best of best. Let's see where we go. Did a great job. I thought the brackets, there were some intentional matchups, obviously, both team-wise and individual-wise kind of mixed in. So, and those were really good to see.
Right.
That kind of thing. And it was great for us because we've had a great summer leading up to this, and it's kind of built itself within our region. And then you went to Prime East and hit that for the first time, kind of like where we were here last year, it felt like. And that felt like just a great opener to lead us to this, right? And then competition was off the chain. Kids were, I think, an interesting side note of just the year that is, the COVID year that is kids were fresher legged than they normally would be coming in July. And they still get a break, before Prime. They get 3 to 4 weeks depending, that kind of thing. But you could tell kids were raring to go. And just great to see. Great to see. A lot of really good matchups, a lot of meaningful matchups. If you got pictures of me, I'm telling you now, my head was down because I'm going back and forth with college coaches. Like this kid, that kind of thing. We're debating. And so there were some real rap battles going on, player rap battles going on my phone and that kind of thing. And same kind of thing as Shane. I told some of them, just like Shane told us, I got to watch. Hey, I would love to rap battle with you right now, but I got to watch at some point too. So we did. I mean, just like he said, flawlessly executed. I thought the matchups was the star of the show. And that's team-wise. And then there was also some individual, obviously, in there too. But that was the key ingredient to the whole thing for me, was just some kids I wanted to see go each other, getting that opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, and I think, for me, it was back to we grew up on the court, and if you didn't win, you're off the court, right? So winning mattered. And for me, like, that's when we talked about this whole idea of the prime event at the very beginning, it was, hey, let's bring that back. Winning matters. And you could tell, like, every team bought in and came in. I know Shane's all like, hallelujah.
Y'all know about me. Hashtag winning matters.
Hashtag winning matters, no doubt. And what made it is, we talked about it, but this year seemed more than last year. Like, every team was bought into that. And you could hear teams, hey, we got one more. They won the semifinal. We ain't done. We got one more. This is not the end of it. And kids understanding, what they lost, what that meant, what they won, what that meant. And it was just cool. It was cool to see teams out of our region who came in and they're like, dude, Texas is legit. Like, you got to be tough to play down here, from different parts of the country. And so, it was just a great weekend. I mean, it was definitely a weekend that will be on our calendar and will be circled every year of, like, this is what we look forward to every year. And shout out to all the teams that came. Shout out to all the winners. You have the Storm Division was won by FBC United. The Mystics was won by North Texas Shockers. Sky was won by FBC The Family. Lynx, CyFair Bush won that one. The Sparks, the Lady Jets Randall team won that one. And then the Wings Pro Skills 13U National. So, hey, shout out to the champions who got through the brackets. Won 4 games in the weekend, and 4 tough, solid games. And so shout out to them. But thanks to all the teams that showed up and made it what it was. So what are some players? Now, in our article, there's going to be a ton of players there. Our report's going to have so many players when that goes out to the college coaches sometime, most likely this week. But, hey, what are a couple players that just, man, they stood out at a high level for you on this stage that really took advantage of that moment?
I'm going to start with a name and then a name I fell in love with. Jersey Wolfenberger intrigues me so much. She's taller every time we see her. It's unreal. And I'm not so sure. I told many people this in the gym this weekend. She's going to be a really good, great college player, no doubt. But her best years are probably going to be around 25, right? Somewhere in there, 25, 26. And I'm not so sure that she doesn't end up at some point the best pro in this class. That's long-term development. We're talking 8 years down the road or so. Just a stroke with, I don't know if she's done growing or not. I mean, goodness gracious. But she's a legit 6'5", and just has a feel. She still has a guard feel for the game. You can tell she grew up as a guard, still a slight kid, so she can handle it. Has a beautiful stroke. I mean, a beautiful stroke. As her core catches up to her, strength-wise, catches up to her once she's finally finished growing, whenever that day comes, and she's able to fill out a little bit, I mean, she is going to be a pro.
The interesting thing about Jersey is she was, I guess, had a growth spurt and had to grow into her body, and now it's happening again.
Yeah.
We all know what happens when those people finally stop. And the skills have never, she's never relied on the fact that she grew. Yeah. Is stay skilled. So it's just super intriguing to see where it goes.
It's like, like Anthony Davis on the men's side. He did the 8-inch growth there right after high school, going into college and all that.
So right before his senior year or whatever.
Yeah. Junior year and the senior year, but same kind of thing. Crazy. And then another Banshee. So the Banshee's getting all kinds of shout outs here. But Tamara Poindexter, I mean, she had me kissing Shane almost. It was crazy. Yeah, it is what it is. I love kids that can shoot. And you're talking 6'1", 6'2", somewhere in that range, and a stroke. Really good feel for the game. Picked her spots. Not selfish with her shot selection at all. Like, just understood efficiency all the way all day my kind of kid. I had never seen Poindexter. And so my first time seeing her, and she has blown my phone to pieces. So I've had to repeat her name quite a few times. That's made me smile every time, still doing it. But, I mean, she goodness gracious, she can shoot the ball.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How about you, Shane?
Those kind of players are on winning teams.
No doubt about it.
Coaches ask, over the years about certain kids, and I'm saying that we're having, all due respect, we're having the wrong conversation. You're comparing and bringing up points. They're valid things to talk in general, but when you find it, I'm like, this kid's just going to be on a winning team. It's just the way they do things, and this is one of them. Player-wise, I'm going to talk. I thought Amina Muhammad had a good weekend. She's expanding the jumper. Always had the motor, being coached hard. So I think she had a good weekend. Malaysia, Full Wiley, 2023 from FBC. Obviously, Amina Pro Skills 2022, DeSoto. Malaysia Full Wiley out of South Carolina was coming for that number one spot. She has that ball on the string. She's a wizard. She's tough. She's competitive. I mean, we're going to redo our stuff here soon, and it's going to be a fair discussion, but I'm hard pressed to know a better 2023 that I've seen in the country. She is special. And so that was fun. Jelani Cambridge, who her dad does coach the FBC, the family team, 24 guard. She got several siblings. You can tell they grow up tough, like competing with each other. Special, elite finishers. FBC's got the most elite finishing small guards. They're not tiny, but they're not big guards necessarily. Raven is, but the most elite finishing small guards top to bottom in the country. And then, so I would argue we had people who could be arguably the number one player in their class in several classes at this event. And so we mentioned her before, but it's just keep getting better. And then Kazia Lofton with the Jets.
Listen.
Just all things point to her being the real deal and a really good basketball player. So don't want to beat a dead horse. I think we mentioned it before, and we'll talk more players and obviously our article as well. So we'll maybe quick shout out before we get done here. But as far as sitting back and just being impressed at times, those guys really, really got it. Kennedy Basham's range, she stretches already the floor for you. But when she's going to trail on the run, stop 1-2 and pull the three for you. I mean, I just start envisioning how much you can do out of the ball screen and spread you out. And it just I tell guards that's the next level of becoming a good shooter. Okay, it's great. The catch and shoot is great. The half court catch and shoot, coming off the screen, whatever. Can you sprint to a spot, stop and pull? And I'm like, well, I like that because the biggest player on the floor, the tallest player on the floor, who influences the floor on the defensive end.
Absolutely.
Doing that with, good footwork and all that. And she's, again, another one of those ones that strength-wise, body-wise, she's still still figuring it out. So that's
– absolutely. Well, and she's made such strides from an offensive standpoint since USA Trials last year. And that's where and you watch from last summer, and she's getting stronger and stuff like that. And it's just – she was very impressive, this week.
A follow-up on something I love from Lofton, a next step growth thing. Team was flat coming out in that championship against Trae Young. They've had a lot of battles this summer, her and Keely Parks, the teams as a whole, Trae Young and Lady Jets. And they got down 15-0.
Oh, yeah.
Jason calls his second timeout. Jet calls his second timeout. And he's just trying to get them going. We're down 15-0. Can we start now?
Right.
Because Zia Lofton took over the whole thing. I mean, I was counting the runs out to you guys, right? I was like, it was 15-0. Now they've gone on a 41-14, 41-7.
14. It was at one point like 11-2, and then you call out a couple others, but I was locked into something else.
Yeah.
Like, I just did the math. It was 41-14 run, and you're like,
she just wasn't going to have, and that's the stuff that we're looking for, right? I mean, just the growth. And she was like, no. We're not going to go out like this.
Right.
And so just the leadership and taking over the floor is very hard to do that young of an age when you're flying. So good job there.
Absolutely. Well, and for me, talk about another young kid who just continues to grow is Justice Carlton. For instance, CyFair Coop. And I mean, and we've seen him multiple times this summer and stuff like that. But, dude, this weekend, there was a time when they played the Tar Heels, Team Lex, like she was unguardable. Like they were rotating different people. It didn't matter.
Grown man decisions, grown woman moves. Like, I mean, and I say that obviously, and I'll do
chicken.
But she faced and she attacked and spin, or she faced one time against a bigger, longer body in Jalen Bristow, and then realized I've got to put my body on her. So I took it, but I was patient enough to boom and finish it. And I don't know, whoever was next to me, I hit him. It might have been Janine. I'm just like that.
It was next level stuff. I mean, it was just fun and exciting to watch. I mean, it was a young kid who's got better all summer, and she's out there playing like oh yeah, I made another bucket on you. Like, okay, I'll hustle back. Oh wait, I'll come down and go left-handed.
Hey, listen, those two hands on the rebound. I mean, every time he's snatching.
Conrad, I need to send her film because that's just her thing. You rebound a basketball with two hands. You rebound a basketball with two hands. I need to send her. I'm gonna ask Athlete Vision because I need to send Coach a clip. Be like here's 2 feet of a very elite player for her class, doing things fundamentally, snatching boards with two hands. You'd love this. She would. Absolutely do that.
I'll tell you. Go ahead, Mark.
No, you're good. What you got?
While we're talking about bigs, a kid you can see the light bulb going off on is Letitia. Man, I'm scared of that last name. For FBC, Letitia B.
Oh, it's phonetic. Vasconcelos.
There you go. What he said. So,
Lady Vasconcelos. Come on, it's phonetic. It's Spanish.
Yeah, good. So just you could see it game by game, rep by rep, getting better with using her size, understanding angles to finish over, how to, I thought, I think it was the semifinal workout. She started really using getting in position before the catch. So starting, Justice Carlton's already burying people. She's starting to figure out to really bury people using my size, that kind of thing. Right. So getting 2 feet in the paint before I get the ball, that's possible. You're done, So just working the screen angles with the guards, that kind of thing. So, I mean, she really improved, I thought, over a 2-day period, just with the fast reps. So it really jumped out at me.
Well, and we could sit here for hours and talk about players and their development and just what we saw at the Prime event. And so the article is going to come out this week, and you'll see players there. There's going to be a report sent to college coaches and stuff like that. So we can't thank enough all the players, all the parents, all the teams, everybody in making this event a success. And so we're going to take a quick break, but stick with us when we come back. Well, welcome. Well, I just totally screwed that up. Here we go again. Hey, welcome back from the break. We appreciate you staying with us. This is Mark Williams, Shane Laflin, Jason Key, and we're coming to you from the baseline. And we're honored to have special guests with us, Mo and Sasha with the FBC. And this past weekend, we had the Prime event, and we were honored to have y'all bring 2 teams and get the clean sweep of the divisions you're in, and 2 championships and 2 trophies you got to take home. Overall, what was your experience about the Prime event, and what is it that you love about that event?
Well, for me, and just knowing, the landscape of how things are in the South, and, just with FBC and things that we push more and more, I'm really just happy about to see all the people in Texas playing each other and competing against each other. It's very seldom with all the shoot things and everything that's going on that you get an opportunity to play people, win, lose, or draw.
Right.
Nothing said bad, nothing said good, just a lot of great competition. And for us, it's always good to get out of our region and compete against some of the best kids in the country. A lot of our girls are heavy users of social media, so some of the kids that was in Texas, they already knew before we got there. So, Coach, we're about to play this kid, we got to knock them off. I'm just like, okay, let's go do it. But for FBC, this is our second year coming to the Prime, and it's continuing to get more competitive and better. For us, we was able to win both divisions, both years, but the games have been really good, and that's just a big thing for us. And we stress competition a lot. We compete in practice, like we try to compete all the time. So to be able to go to events that are kind of focused more on competition than the politics, it's just one of my favorites.
Mo, you guys came in practice right away, and you mentioned practice. So I want to talk to you about how you guys prepare. And Sasha, you and I got to share some thoughts during the event about kind of your side of the preparation, Mo's side of the preparation. You guys take practice very seriously. As soon as the shoes were on, you're serious. Mo, you keep them loose. Then when you guys start your practice, it gets serious. So what's your preparation philosophy just in terms of games, not necessarily this event, but in general? And then Sasha, you and I talked about maybe a little bit more of the technical stuff that would catch our attention. Mo keeps them going as far as intensity and attention level. How do you guys handle that?
I think when we start to get you get your elite level young athletes, not just, Sasha is so accustomed to and what's been very beneficial as she's came in, kind of always pushing the next level, the thought process of how a kid should be, next level. So I'm constantly saying, before we could ever get the next level, we got to teach aggression and, little small things that I may overlook where she's fine tuning all the details, and our kids, in the South right now, we're not only grabbing kids from Atlanta, but we're getting kids now from South Carolina, more in North Carolina. And the way we practice, and I think it's very hard unless you go to like an elite level camp to find 20 or 30 kids as good as we have right now, practicing every day together. So, I know you talked to me at the event about, you all have elite level finishers, but, for the last 3 years, they've been finishing against a 6'7" Camilla, which was one of the best, posts in the country. And a lot of girls just never get an opportunity to finish against that because, some programs can't stimulate it. With us, from top to bottom, we just got a lot of kids that want to compete, and the parents have kind of bought in to know if you don't compete, you kind of sit on the bench. So it's not a lot of you know, it's not a lot of talk about preparation. Either you're going to do it or you're not going to play. You know, and it takes a while to get like that, and it's working. You know, and as I'm pissed about, you know, things that are I'm letting certain things go. Sasha is, hey man, we got to stick to the detail. You know, kids got to be on time. You know, just the small things. So right now, it's just been such a good mix to kind of even, you know, because I'll play a fifth grader 17U. You know, if she can take it. You know, so we've just been steady, just pushing and pushing and pushing, just trying to get better. So with our preparation is like, listen, every kid has an opportunity and prepares different. But when we get to the part where it's time to go, you better be on the same page.
And they're like that. They, like he said, it's a good mix because he's so, you know, he's dancing a little baby in practice. You saw Shane. And I'm like, hey, we got to get the 1-3-1 down. You know, but it's a good mix because he's getting them loose. But our big thing is the mindset with it. Like, you know, we're here for one thing and one thing only. Like, we can team bond in the hotel. We're not going out to dinner as a group. We'll team bond in the hotel. And it's when we step on that court, it's business. Like, we're trying to win this thing. So that was our mindset. And that was the only thing we pushed to the kids. So, you know, I wasn't happy. I don't think we both were happy with practice on Friday night, but we could say, like, we can do this. But that's what college is like. You got to be ready when you get off the plane to, you know, be mentally prepared for the game.
Right.
So it's a good.
Right. The lessons carried over too. And then, you know, you guys, the family was about to play and you guys came in all together with the other group, and Mo addressed a player who was late to the bus. Just matter of fact. And she knew, she took it. Yes, sir. I'll that won't happen again. And it's just very frank. And so you also see it, how they respond to you guys. Cause I think that you see body language in players when coaches maybe get intense with them. You can tell when it's permeating and you can tell when it's being deflected away, and yours don't deflect. They're like, I should be better. They're just right. They know and they trust. So it's evident and it's important as part of the relationship.
Yeah. And so, Sasha, from your point of view, coming from the college level, coming to the grassroots side, talk about the differences, A, and B, what the college level experience, how that helps you get these kids prepared. You know, you started with that, but go into a little more detail with that.
It's like you said, it's paying attention to the details. Like I was telling Mom after the tournament, I said, I did a whole itinerary. I don't know why I do itinerary, because I think they just still got, they come to you for things, which is fine. But as long as they can have a base, because college coaches side, you're just like, boom, 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 details, and has to be on point. And it's just, you're still coaching elite level athletes. I think our team can beat a lot of colleges right now. Me personally think that. So it's just, you're still, you know, it's just that paying attention to the details, I think, is the difference. But you can have fun with it. I think that's what your college experience. It's not saying that college doesn't, but you spend 3 days on a scouting report. Where here we do scout the other team, but it's not, we're trying to get the kids to pay attention to that and what the details of what the other team does. Because that's what they're going to experience in college. It's business. It's business trips where you spend 3 days on a scout report. The kids got to know it. You know, when they go out in the game, you want to have fun, but take care of business as well. But it's just, like I said, it's the details. It's just getting the kids, even the recruiting process right now, we've been blowing up ever since then. So it's getting the kids to understand. A lot of them don't know. They're talking to our 24s right now. They're like, what do I do? So it's just explaining the process to them, and, you know, where with our Brazilian, she doesn't know where these schools are, you know, so it's just teaching them about the process.
Absolutely. Now, Mo, you've been at this for a while with FBC, and we had the privilege last summer in Atlanta to come watch a workout, and you know, you had your 17s and your 16s were all impressive, but the most impressive group were a bunch of fifth graders. And you had like 5 of them, and just the way they bought into the culture, the way that they competed, the way when they were challenged that they rose to it. And we've had the opportunity to see some of your younger kids and see develop kids. What is your philosophy from a development side when you get young kids and groom them up?
So Atlanta is a great place for girls basketball right now. But if I look at our grassroots, when I say the younger divisions, we don't have really good coaching there. So it's just a bunch of kids, playing on a team. Debbie Snacks.
I do coach some fourth graders, by the way.
Well, that fourth grade coach, man.
This is our
man,
coach.
we gotta.
Hey, this is our coach.
So, and this is my assistant for
Hey,
the fourth grade.
this is our coach. So, and I'm constantly telling the younger parents, like, listen, I don't want a snack list. I don't want everybody wearing the same shoes or the same ribbons, because eventually we want you to kind of
There are no ribbons.
Prepare to play, for the top teams of FBC. The main thing, with the fifth graders and what makes it so special is, I think if you bring them in with elite athletes really young, they start dreaming earlier. So, they start preparing and, want to eat right, want to wake up, want to train. So the parents, and you tell from the beginning which kids, and they don't have to be the best, but you tell which kids want to be at that level. So, we don't have time to be wasting time on kids that don't want to play. So with that fifth grade group, out of the fifth grade group that you saw, 4 of them stuck with us, and well, really the whole 5 stayed, but one kid is, living in another area and she had some tragedy and, can't get here. But these kids in the 5th and 6th grade are driving 7 hours for a tournament. Like, they're preparing that, our best kids, Snoop and Raven, they started in the 5th grade with us.
Right.
So most of the kids that we have are like homegrown kids. So, I don't want to wake up and trying to put a top team together and got to find 10 kids. It's a lot easier to find 2 or 3 pieces to fit with what we've already had. Now, if it's a situation where we have to get 10 kids, we're just not doing a good job as a staff. So the biggest thing that we have with our younger division in the FBC is to get the coaches who has younger kids to try to understand where we're trying to take them, where they're trying to win in the 3rd grade or 3rd grade nationals. We're trying to win at the end.
Right.
Yeah. And, so it's just a thought process. Kids get there by playing age group. Kids get there by slow development. I just don't believe it. So the kids that are ready to get on the rapid training and, grow up real fast and just kind of change their mindsets early. And it's really never the kids. It's just if the parents, want to have their kids compete like that. And, Sasha is the best young coach we've had so far. She hadn't won the game yet.
Well, you gotta, and in fairness,
That's a lie. That is a lie.
She won one.
We lost in the championship in Atlanta, first of all.
but you're playing 2 years up, right?
Yeah.
What?
Are you playing 7th graders?
What?
You're playing 2 years up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't listen to him. First of all, and we won. We just lost in the championships to 7th graders.
Hey,
so
Shane,
I'll take it.
Shane.
No second place trophies, Mo.
Hey, listen.
We threw them in the.
I threw them in the woods. Don't quote me on that. The first trophy she got was the 2nd place. I say, parents, listen. I understand this, but
we did it in front of the parents.
Hey, listen. This trophy went in the woods. It's still behind the gym. We want to be a little better than that. And everybody bust out laughing. We went and got some pizza. So it was good.
There you go. Mo's going to take them on a field trip next year after they win the first place trophy. Take them 5
Well, the thing is, they came with us to the Birmingham tournament. So our 4th division, we played. They don't have 4th grade tournaments a lot. It's 5th and 6th. So we're just like, let's do it. And the first game we lost by 20, lost by 16, lost by 7. The last game we lost by 3 and had a chance to win it. I drew it up on the board, the play I wanted. It didn't happen at all the way I drew it up. But it's just them learning how to they're like, no. But anyways, so there was improvement. So we just take them to tournaments, they hang around with the big girls, and they learn.
Well, I think what Mo said earlier that's so important is they get exposed to it and they start to dream, and they have people that they look up to in your upperclassmen. And
Right.
Sasha, your daughter in your timeouts, paying attention to the whiteboard, even if it's not her game. You got the whiteboard out all the time, right?
Yeah.
She's paying attention. She's looking at them. And whether she knows it or not, she's learning. And learning is fun in school, books and this and that. We all know experience is the way to get it done. And so I think your vision that you're describing is experience it, challenge yourself, be honest with yourself, and you got to earn everything that's out there. And by the way, there's people around you that are going to not let you rest and relax. And,
Right.
And I think that's kind of been the vision you've described to me as far as FBC and where it wanted to go. We kind of had some late nights in Atlanta and visited. I was just so intrigued after watching that practice. And so you guys have continued to grow. The brand is growing. You've got the North. You've gone into the Carolinas. I know you've got some other plans. Anything you want to touch on with that as far as what was kind of the what started this in you that built your FBC philosophy?
I started with inner city kids. So when I was coaching at the high school and I had these kids with, maybe one or two parents in the whole program, I'm looking and I'm saying, if we're going to get these kids out the hood, we got to give them some exposure. So when we start working on the exposure piece, I start looking around to programs that, was kind of catered to exposure. So I went to 3 or 4 programs and talked to some people. And the only one that really was willing to help me and give me information that I wanted was Brian, who was running FBC at the time. And he talked about, they was having a lot of success on the West Coast, and they talked about joining the coast. And, so I told him, I said, listen, I'll give you access to every city kid, and we can put with the suburban kids, and, these city kids will learn how to act, and your suburban kids will get tougher, and if we mix it together, I think we could do something special. So we started. And as we started to improve it, and, I started with a 6th grade group, and I'm talking to Brian, I say, listen, man, we can make this thing bigger. I think one of my strengths was connecting people. So, everybody I'm talking to, I'm telling them, listen, we can do this, we can do that. And most people was telling me, look, we can't do it like that. You have to go to the AAU Nationals and you have to do it like this. So I say, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the first 5 girls. We're going to, in 6th grade, we're going to play 9th grade. We're going to travel right now. We're not waiting. And we just kept losing, but we kept getting better. And it went from 6 kids, and now we got 40 teams. But at the end of the day, it's only competition. I don't care. We're winning right now, and, we've lost too. We've lost so much that it doesn't even matter. Like, we expect to win because we're working like that. But this thing was built on a real solid foundation. The Michaela Coombs crying every day, Bianca Jackson, and those kids that I still talk to that, me getting kicked out of every tournament, knowing we supposed to lose, but I'm trying to push them to win. And, that first group that we had, we practiced 4 or 5 times a week. Now that we have a better system and we have, better parent support, we can treat that first group went through some hell to get here. Mm-hmm. But we can treat these kids even better because, they have the resources to go train. Mm-hmm. So everything is not in-house. So when we see each other, it's like new energy. Right. So we get together, we fine-tune, and we do the retreat-style practices. So in a weekend, the 5 practices we get, it's real good practices. So, it's just the blueprint that I created for FBC was just me watching everybody and seeing all the holes that I thought was in the system. So everywhere where I saw a hole and saw, it being weak, I found a way to make it stronger. And which was the first thing I did was no top teams had younger kids. So, you know, me and Kurt got together because he had the other team before he passed away. And we got the next 70 kids that was coming. So when the other top teams looked back, it was nobody to choose from.
Circle to market.
Well, as we wrap up, Sasha, is there anything in particular with your teams this weekend that stood out? What were some standout moments from a team, individual, any aspect there here in Dallas?
You know, we just wanted to play different teams.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was great because in Birmingham, our 16U lost to Tennessee Flight in triple overtime and lost to Alabama Stars by 1. So it was really nice to see them kind of get out of there. And I thought they killed it in Texas. They played really well together. They beat some really good teams. You know, our United team, we're meshing more together. And it's a learning, you know, it's good for Raven. I want to point out Raven because she played with 4 Mac Dads last year. So this has been a learning process with her, getting a whole new team. Everybody's gone but her on United. So for her to, she's learning how to lead and be a true point guard and get people to play when they're, you know, you see her a lot of times in Prime giving it up. But when she needs to be Hollywood, she takes over. You know, so she's really the glue that holds our team together right now and kind of brings everybody in.
I would argue it was last year too. I mean, I sat there and watched in Indiana last year, and I'm like, look, obviously you got these 4 that look like they're going to be All-Americans. The special sauce is that one right there.
Man, I'll take that kid to War Games any day. We talk about that. That's our dog. But she's also just a great kid, and she holds the team together. She's our glue. So it's just a great personality. She does anything we ask. You know, so she I just thought she was just really – and she brought the younger kids. She even with the family, she knows how to connect with everybody. But I was really proud of our family team. And, you know, the colleges are just blowing us up about our 23s, 24s, our whole crew, just because they see it all coming together.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, that's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Mo, sharing that, you know, not just in conversation with us, but being able to share with everybody, because obviously you guys have got some attention. And I think that it's elevating the game. It's good for the game. And you want people to want to compete. So that's the essence of the Prime event. And obviously you guys have solidified yourself as a foundational piece of that. And you asked me after the game, Sasha said, well, we won twice. You want us to come back? And I said, hell yeah, until someone can, you know, try to knock you off. Like,
I asked Joey the same thing. I was like, you want us back? Because we're back to back. He goes, every year.
Every year. Absolutely.
So, man, good stuff. Mark, you take us out. And then
we appreciate y'all coming on. And you know, always enjoy the conversation anytime we can have it, whether it's in person or on the phone or whatever. So we just appreciate y'all's support of PBR and the Prime event. And so, hey, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back after this. back from the break. Mark Williams, we got Shane Laflin, Jason Key here. We're coming to you from the baseline, and we're honored to have Coop, Coach Coop, with us. CyFair Elite, Nike Coop. He's the head coach and has been the head coach of that team for a couple of years now, and putting it all together and stuff. And so we appreciate you coming on with us, Coach. And this past weekend, you were with us for the Prime event. And it was a joy to watch your team, again, like it always is. They continue to seem to get better and better every time we see them. And we're going to talk more about them. But overall, what was your experience at the Prime event?
It was a great experience. I think that, the ladies do a fabulous job, Kathy and the crew. You guys do a fabulous job of presenting the tournament. And I think just, the level of play, the competition, which is what we seek out anyway, it was high. So I'm very impressive to see not only different styles of play, but just the talent level.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we were compiling our player list for our article recap, and we were proud of the event going in, and it was, a lot of people say, oh, it's a loaded event, it's got a few teams. This player list is long. I didn't count today. I'm going to count tomorrow. It is deep, and I don't even have marks yet. So it is deep. And so, yes, there was a lot of talent. We had quality coaches in the building. Coop, you and I have gotten to talk a little bit. I first saw you play. Jason has seen you play before, giving me the rundown. I first saw you play out in Cali. It was a tough weekend, the Kobe weekend. First saw you guys there. So, always thinking about that. But you guys are you're better every time I see you. And that's just for talented players, and especially the talented young ones. It's certainly not the norm. And you'll see that, because you'll see some teams stay the same and you guys are going to continue to grow. How do you go about doing that? Talk to me about the player buy-in, the parent buy-in. You're just constantly coaching over there, and I think it resonates with them. They do a great job. So just what's your experience with that? What's your philosophy with that? And how do you go about doing that?
Well, I think it's the way we process. I'm very big on process and execution, having an operating plan. And so, when we started in the 5th grade forward, one of the things that I identified from my parents were, I think this team is special. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to implement a defensive philosophy. It is going to take us roughly 36 months to truly get to the base concept that we want to employ. And we'll probably more than likely just get our offense, how we get it in transition. I have a 4-phase philosophy, stingy defense, transition offense, the secondary break, and then, we'll try to get it in the half court if we can. And so, early on this season, that was the biggest thing coming into this season is we never really worked with the ladies on just offensive structure. It was really, we had 2 things we were doing: pass, screen away, and 2-man. But that was purposeful because, we felt very comfortable that we call this the bridge years, coming in from middle school into the high school years. We wanted to see where we were, and then we could solve for our offense, as we moved through this season. It kind of helped that it was a COVID season for us. And so we really turned it into more of a training concept for our play. So when you all first saw us this year, it was really just pass, screen away, or 2-man. And once we ran into pro skills 16U, it was pretty obvious. You could see we struggled mightily in the first games against them. But what it allowed my players to see was, and what it allowed for us coaches to see, is that the pass, screen away concept, called for players to have to read and react the entire floor. And so the timing of the screening and the passes, they had to be pretty precision. And we got back in the lab and I explained to them, now what we're going to do, because we do have a concept of playing together, we've been together for a while, we're going to start cutting the floor in half. And so we kind of identify the floor in zones. So it was easier for me using it or developing them in that way, because they had a good understanding of play, continuity play with each other. And they understood the struggles that we had, very smart kids. And so once we started cutting the floor up, we started spreading out in a four corner. We always know that Justice Carlton, our 5, is going to draw a lot of attention. And then it's just adjusting the game, based on how she's being played. And it's still a read and react philosophy. And so it became easier once I started identifying the different zones of the floor. And so that's kind of how you see that maturation in their gameplay. And so as we move through the latter 2 tournaments and then into the prime event, that's what we tried to focus on, was just honing in on our defense had been together, for the last 3 years. And so we just honed on offensively, reading what we see, making great decisions. And by the time we got to the prime event, all 4 phases were working for us. Our transition defense, we're really stingy on defense. Our transition offense, reading our breaks and finding our shooters in the secondary. And then now that we had a stable, solid understanding of what we wanted to do in the half court against the teams that we're going to play, and they look more organized. And I think that's what you saw.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would, and if there's any young coaches watching, go ahead and rewind that and listen to it again, and then listen to the whole thing, and then rewind it and listen to it again.
Yeah,
we might need to market that, just as far as the plan. And again, obviously there's some detail there that's yours, but I think that just the structure of the way you just explain things and understanding things long term. I had a conversation with a 2024 coach from West Virginia Thunder that was at the Prime Event East, and asked him how his players understand the things that they understand. And he explained it similarly to what you said. He said, I had an older daughter and we were more talented, so we thought the answer was press and score. And then when we got older and played good players, we didn't know how to play. And he said, so what I said is, I'm going to take my lumps and give them a little bit at a time. And we're going to do the things, we're going to build our philosophy first. And if we take lumps, but we're going to do things right. And then we're going to implement some of the things that you're seeing. And so I think that takes patience, that takes checking the ego, and also takes a basketball history. And so something I've never gotten to ask you is, like, what is your basketball history and experience? Because, all due respect to people in the space, it's levels to this, and you're a different level, period.
Appreciate that. Man, I've been playing basketball since I could walk. My uncle, my mom had 17 brothers and sisters. And so the one kid, I was the migrant kid. So I stayed with all my aunts, and all we did was play basketball all day long. And so I first learned how to play basketball and dribble a soccer ball at the same time. And that was my upbringing. And so, how it is when, back in our day, we played every day, all day, Boys and Girls Club, from 8 in the morning when the boys club opened till 5. And then once the boys club closed, we go to the park. I remember when I first started, it was just a boys club. The girls were not allowed to go. And so we just played all the time. And then obviously, I was a migrant kid. So I grew up between here, shout out to Wichita Falls, Texas. I grew up here in Wichita Falls, Texas, Wichita, Kansas, and Riverside, California. And so I came up through that era when, it was Florida, who had the better talent, Florida, Texas, and California. I mean, it's kind of still that thing today, but, I give Georgia props. Atlanta has really started to produce great talent. But we just played all the time. We played a very fast style. My motto with my young ladies, which is similar to what how we played when I was coming up, is just, it's a math problem. That's what I tell my girls. It's a math problem. It's 94 by 50, depending on if you're playing, regulation, high school regulation, or it's 84 by 50. So it's a math problem. Every line on the floor is going to be the same metrics, no matter what gym you go to. The basket is always going to be in the middle of the floor, and it's 10 feet high. And so we can play 7-on-5, and we have to understand that the boundaries, you can't play outside the boundaries. And so if we utilize those boundaries to our advantage, and we all understand that as soon as the ball comes in bounds, everyone, first defender, second defender, third defender, fourth defender, you have a responsibility to be a certain place, because we are coercing, and we call it influencing, the ball to areas on the floor that we want the ball to go. So you as an opponent, you're always playing, we're always playing offense on you, or I should say defense, even our offense is defense and vice versa. And so you never get an opportunity to set up. So our goal is to disconnect you from your coach, and then find that player on your team that that we can disconnect from the other four, and then the other 3, then the other 2. And then the rest of the math problem on the flip side is the way the game is played now. You know, I think you and I had this conversation before. I know Jay and I have had this conversation before. If I shoot the ball 30 times from 3 and I only shoot 33%, I'm gonna make 10 of them. You know, so I'm at 30 points. If I can get 10 of my turnovers to convert, I'm at 20 points. I'm at 50. And Big Justice, she's going to get me at least 15. You know, and if I can get my 4 guards to get me 12 collectively, and then I'm at a number that you can't even get to. More times than not. So that's how we play the game. We play to our objectives and based on what we can get from you. And so defensively, it's no middle defense. I'm starting to see that a lot more, even in the college ranks. But you know, my uncle taught me this process back in the 80s, and I just carried it forward. And so that's our concept. Now, the one thing that the girls are going into the off season to learn is our no middle defense from a half court perspective. And that's what we kind of spent the last game in the PBR introducing to them, because our shell defense, most people think it's a press. It really isn't a press. It is a training technique. So the last 3 years, I've been using a training technique to teach my young ladies help defense, because ultimately, if you want to be a elite college basketball player, elite high school basketball player, you have to play man. And the biggest issue that I see young people having is they don't really know how, when, and where to support the ball, the defender on the ball. And so we teach principles relative to, like I was speaking before, where the ball is on the floor, everyone has a responsibility. And so from there, everyone is connected and stays connected based on where the ball is. And we have a motto: you play your man through the ball to the goal. And so those little acronyms or sayings that we use, the philosophy that we use, it encompasses a team philosophy, a connectivity philosophy. And because we play at the pace that we play, it's more conducive to having a team full of talented kids, because there's so many possessions and they're playing so connected with each other. They're learning how to play, they're learning how to share, and they all have an opportunity, because it's a read and react game. For us, everyone has an opportunity to excel. And we have an offensive philosophy. Who's the first option? Player with the ball. Who does the half court belong to? It belongs to the big. So my guards understand that we're going to play transition ball. That's when you should get yours. You should be looking for yours. My shooters understand they are the secondary break. So we spread wide and we try to look for them if we can't get in the immediate transition. And then if that fails, we're going to set up and we're going to play through Justice. And then my job is just to move Justice around the floor to the advantage for us. And then obviously she's such a talented and gifted kid that we can play her at all 3 levels. So we train all of our kids at all 3 levels, and we try to play 4 possessions, and then we try to throw the ball at the rim more than you. So that's kind of how the process works for us.
Hey, it sounds to me like we got to send him a basketball soul package.
He started talking. I mean, he started talking just parameters of the floor and all that. I mean, that is so up Shane's alley. It's not even funny. So we talked. Coop, me and Coop been talking quite a while now. You know, for a few years about a lot of different things. Talk to me about just how you got onto the girls' side. Obviously, you got a daughter playing for you that's going to be going to Saxy this year with the crew. But what brought you to the girls' side, and what you think of it now that you're in it versus when you played on the boys' side?
Yeah. So I started off coaching my nephews, and then I sat down. I had about a 10-year hiatus from coaching, and my daughter started playing for Pro Skills actually in the 5th grade. Well, I take that back. We all first started in John's gym, John Thomas, DC Queens. I mean, all of us, Tristan Thomas, Chrislyn, Micah. I mean, I can go on, Taylor, Victoria. So we were all together over there. My daughter was playing soccer more than she was playing basketball. And so, John, how John is about his practice time. You can't miss practice. And so I was probably the first one to leave. And Taylor Hagan as well. Shout out to my buddy Mario. But and so that's kind of how I got into the Texas girls side club scene, because my daughter she was desirous of playing. I started off in soccer, And from about age 3 to age 10, she was full on soccer, part-time basketball player. And so about age 10, she Daddy, I want to see if I like basketball. And, you know, because we trained, we anytime we go work out, we still do soccer workouts and basketball workouts the entire time. So, pro skills having a tryout. They were just starting the girls' side. And so I took her over, and to make the story shorter, there became some issues with the original director over at that program. And we walked into the gym one day and we couldn't get in. And so I called the owner of the gym. He kind of explained to me what the issues were. And so the girls that we were in the middle of the summer season. And so I just covered the cost for the rest of the season for the practice, because, you know, we had already covered the cost for, you know, the tournaments for the duration of the year. And so probably the end of that week, we were notified that the director, who was also the coach of the team, was no longer going to be available to coach the team. And so, in looking around, you know, my daughter was probably the most developed player, is the way I put it, most developed player on the team. And so one of the parents asked me, you know, would you coach? We know you have a basketball background. Would you coach? And, you know, again, I stepped away from the game on the boys' side, because it just, you know, it was just taking up so much of my time. But I knew that we needed to finish the season, and I had watched them play through the first part of the season, and there were some things I thought that they could do a little better. And so I told the parents, I said, it has to be 100%, it has to be unanimous. If every parent doesn't sign on, I'm not going to do it, because my style and approach is different. I feel like we can be successful. I like the team, but everyone has to commit. And so 100% of the parents said, okay. And we finished the season, and we were a pretty good team. And so Calvin Evans, who was here on the CyFair side, you know, he had been hounding me that season, and then going into the next season, about coming over and working with CyFair. And, you know, I avoided him for a while. And then finally we had lunch, we went and talked, and he kind of laid out a pitch for me. And then and he said, I want you to meet Earl, Uncle Earl Allen. And I knew Earl, I knew of Earl. And so we met over in Westlake at the hotel, and we chopped it up for about an hour. Earl and one of the Nike reps, or, you know, CyFair's Nike rep, and he, you know, he laid out a plan, and I gave him some conditions. I gave him 5 conditions, and I told him it was going to take me 36 months, and this is what I was going to need. And I think that with what Calvin had and what I have, I think that, one, I can build a very caliber quality team, but I also think that I can help grow your program here in the Dallas market. And so, you know, that's kind of how it started for me. And that's how we've come to be what we are now. I think at that time, Calvin had 2 teams, a 6th and 7th grade team. And now here in Dallas, I think we have like 18 teams. And across our high school platform, we have like over 35 teams, I believe. And we've expanded out to, that's just in the Dallas area, but we expanded out to New Mexico, Louisiana, Oklahoma. You know, obviously we're in San Antonio, Austin, and Texas. And so now we're just looking to grow outside of the region at this point, and just continue to develop, you know, our basketball players. But that's how I got on the girls' side. And then once I got in, you know, and we started implementing our style, there was really only one team that was really willing to play at the pace and as aggressive as we were playing. Shout out to Lenny Burt, the BTR crew, because, you know, once I kind of got the girls, got the feeling good about where the girls were, you know, and we felt like we were there. I ran into BTR, and they smacked us in the face. And that's when I knew that, hey, there was some other people out here that were playing like I would like to play, but there was also some other talent. And so that group, that BTR group, you know, Kai and Talia and Sanaya, you know, they kind of baptized us into, or at least me, into saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to get serious about this. And so that's kind of how I moved forward, and kind of worked out a process of, 1, how we were going to play, 2, how the development phases were going to go, and 3, how we were going to champion the marketing around the girls. The other thing that I believed heavily in is I knew that there were different styles of play, being a Midwest kid, being a West Coast kid, and then having spent a lot of time on the East Coast. I knew there were different styles of play. And so what I set out to do early on was take the girls everywhere, take them to all the regions so that they could see all the regions, so they could be exposed, so they can kind of understand, their anxiety levels and how important it was to identify with that. Because I tell the girls all the time that, as much basketball is being played and how organized it is now, everyone's going to be skilled. Someone's going to be able to shoot on the team. Someone's going to be able to handle the ball. Elite is your acumen level. Elite is your ability to control your anxiety levels, when it's duress all over the place. And so you'll notice I use a lot of the games a lot of times to practice. We'll train. I'll take the girls out, and it'll be what some people consider a big tournament. But I'll go out and say, okay, everyone can only play with the left hand, or we're only passing today, no dribbling, or we're just going to play half court, And I think those training techniques in real life action, I think that is assisted in growing their skill level, their development level, the acumen level, and they're just always constantly getting them to understand that you have to be smart. It's the information age. You have to seek information out. You have to watch the game, and you have to be more than just a skillful athletic player. You have to understand the nuances of the game, and if you want to be elite in this time and age, because man, these teams out here, everyone's loaded, and so that's kind of how I got into it. That's kind of how I see it. FBC came in town, and they showed us. What I was impressed with that group, both levels, their length, their athleticism, but most importantly, how they played for each other, how they played, how connected they played, how smart they were. They were not just athletic kids. They were units. And so I was impressed with that, to see that, they're doing a great thing in Georgia. Obviously, on the West Coast, we've been out there, so they play a more wide open game on the West Coast, but they have structure, in the Northeast and in the Midwest. It's a lot of spread offense and a lot of 3-point shooting, great passing. Love the Texas Platinum team. They really impressed me. Their guards are not just, a lot of times you run into these guards that, they dribble, drive, but they're going to kick because they really don't have the ability to really finish at the rim. So you can stay home on the outer shooters and just play man up. But the Texas Platinum kids, man, they really know how to beat their defender, watch feet, get you off balance, and they can finish at the rim. And if you try to close and cover, they will kick it out, and the shooters will hit shots. Indiana Flight is a lot like that. The All-Hour Attack team, that club, they do a great job of spreading and shooting, and their guards get downhill. PWP, they're a great team, great club. They do a lot of that. So I think that what I do like about the girls' game, it's growing, it's getting faster, the skill is getting better. Shot accuracy, I think girls shoot the ball better than the boys do.
Cool.
It's definitely an old adage, right? And I think that it's definitely a point of emphasis in the girls' game. The girls' game is different than the boys' game. So ultimately, in the girls' game, you're not just going to finish from above the rim. It takes skill to score the ball, and it certainly helps the finishing ability when you can space. So definitely a point of emphasis in the women's game. Perimeter shooting, absolutely. Not just the Houston Rockets style of shooting 63s, not like that, but
right.
How it's a balance that creates the opportunity. So certainly a valid argument. So
absolutely. Well, Coop, we appreciate you coming on, and man, for me, I was sitting here taking notes, Coop. I was like, I like that. Play your man through the ball to the goal. I'm like, oh, dude, I'm asterisk that. I'm gonna use that one next time. And so, man, we're gonna have to do this again and get you on and just talk basketball and strategy and different stuff and development. And I know I've seen your team play a couple times, first time we've met, but man, compliments to what you do every time we've seen the team. Seen them a couple times this summer, and they just keep getting better. And in a short time frame, and there's not a lot of programs in the country that you say that about. So you can tell you and the other coaches on that team are doing a heck of a job, and the players are bought in and are putting in the time. So we look forward to seeing. We still got 3 more summers with them. So
man, yes.
Yeah, where can it be? It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But you keep up the great work, and we appreciate you coming on. So
thank you, fellas. Thank you for having me. You guys are doing a fabulous job as well. Love the show. Keep it up.
Thank you, man. We'll be in touch.
All right.
Yep. So, hey, we're going to take a quick break. Stay with us, and we'll be back right after this. Welcome back to From the Baseline with Premier Basketball. We appreciate you tuning in and sticking with us through the break. We are honored to have with us Ray Caldwell with San Antonio Finest, and he does a great job down there in San Antonio and has been a big supporter of Premier Basketball. And Ray, you've attended many of our events, and we appreciate the support. What makes the Prime event different? And what makes the event what it is?
It's a celebration of female basketball. You know, despite whatever your shoe affiliations are, you have the opportunity to go and play like the old days, competition, cross-brand matchups. This year has been a unique year, obviously, with this new normal. We didn't get to celebrate it the way it was supposed to be celebrated. You know, it's neat where we can all sit around and watch each other games and network in the gym. And we didn't get to do that as much this year, obviously, with the COVID protocols and the safety procedures. You guys do a terrific job. I think you guys are the leader when it comes to that. I think all of us tournament operators take a little bit from y'all in that regard. But it was still just a celebration of the young women just going out there playing. So very honored to be included into that top bracket, and didn't get the results that we wanted, but we always got next year.
I'll take that right now, everybody.
Man, let's go 2021.
Yeah, no doubt. And then obviously talking about it being a celebration, that was absolutely part of the lifeblood of this thing. And, you know, you guys were one of the originals to come last year. So we will always be indebted to those people who came. So Thank you for that. And Ray, you just talked about opportunities different this year. And so, and I want to get to your team and club philosophy and development. It's just a lot of stuff you have to offer there. But you were able to go back and you've been fantastic about circling back and seeing where basketball takes your players in your program. And you've done some of the YouTubes and the videos and the interviews talking about where your players are going and what advice they would give. If it's possible to give an outline of the philosophy there and how you're connecting those people and where they're going to your current young pups. Talk to me about that vision.
Well, it's something, honestly, that we've been working on for a while. Reggie Middlebrook, myself, Marcus Alexander, a 4 for 40 program, where we connect our players with business professionals. You know, all of us have had success with our programs. Marcus would have, Joyner being a draft pick and sticking in the league. Reggie's had a lot of success with Nafisha, now Shug in the league. You know, we've been all right over here, but we understand that until the money catches up in the WNBA with the NBA, the most important things are the connections professionally and taking advantage of the opportunities that the academic institutions provide for our young women. So we've been blessed to have some very mature young women. A number of them, I would say 30 to 40% of them have gotten master's degrees through the game of basketball for free. So we take the 4 for 40 interviews and make sure our youngins understand that you have finest mentors that have walked your path and you can do it as well. And they can offer you some advice, some shortcuts, some potholes to avoid. And we're very, very excited about that, especially in this climate, right? We're seeing the attrition in a lot of programs, a lot of programs being cut because of the lack of revenue with the men's basketball and potentially football. So we just think it's very, very important that these young women do a better job of concentrating on their academics.
Absolutely.
Great point.
That platform will help other people be better as well, because they'll take it, they'll learn from what you're doing, and they'll provide it. So the growth of the game, it all kind of goes into what you're saying about the celebration. Jay, you were about to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, circling into that, following up on that, talk a little bit about the development on the basketball side and your philosophy in developing the young pups up into the Sammy Wagners and the Carly Windsors and that as they get older, but kind of your philosophy when you take them on as young players.
I always say we don't recruit kids, we recruit parents. Being that there's so many opportunities and it is a marathon. And from what I've seen in my experience, Jay, is that a lot of young women won't stay focused. So if you find the right environment that surrounds the kid, they have the support, they have the passion, they have the will, they can end up somewhere. Now you take a Sammy Wagner, so that's different, right? That's a genetic lottery. Dad played offensive lineman at Baylor. Mom swam, almost made an Olympic team at A&M. So she's a 6'1" kid with all of the surrounding support to help her get to where she wants to get to. But again, going back to our 4 for 40 from a development standpoint, I got NAIA kids, D3 kids that have been with me as long as Sammy that are and will be as successful as she is in their basketball careers. Alexi Rich at Sagu, 1,800, 1,900 points, an All-American, NAIA All-American, working on a master's degree. Yes, she may not make the WNBA, but she's successful in large compared to most people. So developmentally, Jay, we stay in the gym and we play up and we take our lumps. It's hard because you got to have good parents.
Yeah.
Constantly getting your butt kicked playing up. That's when the naysayers start. You take this weekend, as soon as we lose a game, I got all my competition in my parent's ear. Oh, he don't know how to showcase you. If you come over here, we'll allow you to do what he's not allowing you to do. And then I got to pull out the resume. I mean, there's not a kid that hasn't come through my program that hasn't scored 1,000 points at the next level that was supposed to score 1,000 points. 6 USAs, 5 All-Americans. I found it interesting out of this weekend that a lot of people had their 21s. I didn't have my 21s. I had 2 21s, D2 kids, and Kayla Presley and Aaliyah Ellis. And we were trying to focus on them. They came off the bench behind, some high major kids. But the 4 or 5 21s, the Kiera Sanderlands, the Bria McClures, they've already got their offers. They've already committed to Trinity Garrett's. So let's move on. And we did that last year as well, bringing the Sammys, the Carleys, and the underclassmen to arguably the best tournament in the country. So that's our philosophy.
And I'm mad at myself because I thought before the event, I'm like, okay, don't be a smart ass before the event. But I almost said something about it being a recruit free zone because I can, what people don't understand, like I don't have to have you mic'd up with a bug to know by your body language what you're doing. And I see it. And just like recruitment in college, I don't like the muddy the water and add chaos thing to get people over. So I'm going to try not to go off on that tangent right now because that stuff pisses me off. I just think it's ridiculous, but that's for another day. This is about celebration of basketball. And we had some high-level coaches on tonight. Todd Cooper with CyFair Coop, Mo and Sasha with FBC, Ray Caldwell. We talking basketball, unbelievable. So we see the books behind you. Ray, you share books with me all the time. For every 5 you share with me, I try to hit you with 1. You keep me stimulated with conversation. We've had some interesting conversations during this COVID period, obviously. Your influences to be the leader that you are to your family, your club, your community, and some things that, I know you're working on. Who are your influences that brought you to these things? Because you're a thinker, you're an evolver, and then you want people to do that around you. So that always really intrigues me.
Obviously, my coaches, Shane. When all this stuff, this dissension, this ignorance started happening, I did a podcast that I wouldn't have shared a few years ago. I think people know my integrity now, but I shared some of the struggles and the trying times that I grew up with and some of the coaches that were impactful for me across all racial lines. Obviously I have a praying mother, and that's huge in who I am, but I was raised to think outside the box, question. There's in my culture, children should be seen and not heard. Well, my mom had some of that, but she also had, you have a voice, speak your mind, ask questions. And that's the same way I try to coach. If I'm calling a set and you break off a set because you see something on the floor, I'll lose that game. I'm not tripping. As long as you have a reason for changing my set. If you're just doing you to do you and you're not thinking and you're not questioning, that's the problem. My kids know they can question me. Now, just like with my mom, you better question me respectfully. But, Coach, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? Can we do this? And I think that's, how you grow. So I don't know if I answered your question in regards to my influences. I have a ton of them, but I'm always trying to utilize even my current network. I've been blessed here to have, when you talk about books I've been sharing, whether it's real estate, Bitcoin, stock options. I use this San Antonio Finance Network and the professionals within my network to grow. And that's what I think is a blessing. And I think we all need to do is make sure we're surrounding ourselves with people that can help us grow.
I think that's a really good point. I think people would be happier and more stimulated if they paid attention to the resources they probably have around them.
Absolutely.
And you feel positive. And I catch myself, head down, tunnel vision working, and then take a look up and say like, and I could pick up and call somebody like Ray, and it's a 10-minute conversation. And I'm like, you know, that was just stimulating, and feel good about where we're headed with some things, you know? So, man, I cannot express the appreciation enough for you coming on so late after getting in the gym tonight, coming back, getting on with us late because our schedules got us getting on late tonight. Thank you so much, Ray, for sharing everything. Thanks for being a foundation of the Prime event, being an advocate for the Prime event, and obviously for your kind words and your friendship along the way as well.
I appreciate all y'all, but let me say this is that I think y'all, all four of you, have really used your platform to truly help others. You know, Jay Key yesterday put something on Twitter about dominoes falling. Now, that could be a wide range of things, but I know the work that y'all do in regards to helping young, aspiring coaches that deserve to move up. I know the work that y'all do as far as helping kids get in school. I was dismayed, and I know it's time to go, but I think sometimes these young women allow the tails to wag the dog. They're not playing well because they're worried about rankings and scouts and evaluators. All four of you consistently pour into the young women and not big time them. And I really appreciate that y'all using the platform the way you do. So I know y'all hear that off record. I wanted to put that on record because the pressures that these young women are going through, I used to minimize it. No one is shooting at you. If you got food in your fridge, the hell you nervous about? But I can't judge them and their anxiety, and I'm seeing it more and more. But you guys do a good job at trying to make sure that the game is the game and your platform grows the game. So I appreciate y'all. That's why I had to make this trip home to jump on this with y'all, because I appreciate what y'all do for all the young women.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you, Ray. And we'll have you on again. I know, man, the conversations tonight have been just fantastic. Basketball and just man, we'll get it on CHOP development and all kinds of stuff. And so we appreciate you coming on. So, hey, stick with us. We'll be back after this break. welcome back to From the Baseline with Premier Basketball. In a great episode. We appreciate Mo and Sasha with FBC. We appreciate Coop with CyFair. We appreciate Ray with SA Finest coming on and helping us truly express the celebration that the Prime event was. So, but for Shane Laflin, Jason Key, I'm Mark Williams. Thank you. We're coming to you from the baseline.